Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Reckoning with History, Settler Colonialism, Slavery, and the Making of American Christianity by William Yu. Narrated by Bob Souer. Chapter 1. The Church with the Soul of a Nation. In 1849, Ebenezer Davies published an account of his recent travel in the United States. Davies was a British pastor in Guyana. His father-in-law, John Ray, founded Mission Chapel as a pastor with the London Missionary Society several years after his arrival in Guyana in 1808. Mission Chapel was the first church in Guyana to welcome enslaved persons, and the initial building was constructed in 1819. It was enlarged 3 years later to accommodate the growing number of worshippers, but it was destroyed by arson in 1823. A second building was completed in 1825. During Davies's ministry, Mission Chapel began plans in 1841 to erect a third building because of the continuing increase in church attendance. Davies also rejoiced in the abolition of British slavery in the Caribbean and South America. In Guyana, only enslaved children under 6 years of age were initially declared free after the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833 took effect on August 1, 1834. 4 years later, all enslaved persons in Guyana were emancipated. Davies surmised that his experience as the pastor of a large congregation, of whom a great number were but a few years ago held in cruel bondage, would grant him keener eyes and feelings more acute toward slavery in the United States. Davies arrived by ship to New Orleans eager to attend worship services there because he was curious to know how people did really pray and preach with slavery and slave trading in their vilest forms around them. Davies visited a myriad of congregations belonging to different Protestant denominations across the country, beginning in Louisiana and ending in New York. But the churches he frequented most were Baptist, Methodist, and Presbyterian. This fact about Davies's trip was not surprising. Baptists, Methodists, and Presbyterians were the three largest Protestant traditions in the United States. In 1820, Baptists and Methodists each reported roughly 2,700 churches, and Presbyterians counted 1,700 churches. The only other tradition with over 1,000 churches was the Congregationalists, 1,100, and the fifth and sixth largest traditions were Lutherans, 800 churches, and Episcopalians, 600 churches. The American Almanac for 1850 compiled various denominational records and estimates to determine the following numbers: 1,230,069 Methodists, 952,693 Baptists, 435,377 Presbyterians, 227,196 Congregationalists, 163,000 Lutherans, and 67,550 Episcopalians. In 1850, Methodists, Baptists, and Presbyterians accounted for 94% of all the churches within the 11 southern states that would form the Confederacy 11 years later. Several components of American churches startled Davies. The first surprise occurred when Davies looked down at the floors of the sanctuaries he visited. As he approached First Presbyterian Church in New Orleans, Davies marveled at its architecture. "It is a beautiful building. Seldom, if ever, had I seen a place of worship the exterior of which I liked so much." But once he stepped inside, he found the floor revolting because it was stained all over with tobacco juice. Davies understood that spitting tobacco was a common practice in the United States, even among elite men from the upper class, but he was surprised that the nasty habit occurred during worship. Another British traveler, Francis Trollope, despised the ubiquity of chewing and spitting tobacco in public, and she also complained of this most vile and universal habit when observing it at a theater in Washington, D.C. The next surprise to Davies was more revolting than the tobacco spittle on the church floor. As worshippers entered the sanctuary, Davies saw all the black people take their seats in the same section of the gallery. He watched for several minutes until, ultimately,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?